Hello, this video is a guide to the functions and locations of the parts of the sheep brain.
The brain is divided into the left and right hemispheres. The left hemisphere controls the right side of the body, and the right side controls the left side of the body. The medial longitudinal fissure is a deep groove in the brain's tissue that separates the right and left hemispheres of the brain. The sulcus are the grooves or depressions in the cerebral cortex, and the gyri are the ridge-like structure on the cerebral cortex. The cerebrum is divided into 4 sections: the frontal lobe, the parietal lobe, the occipital lobe, and the temporal lobe. The frontal lobe is located in the anterior part of the brain. The frontal lobe is responsible for planning and decision-making.
The parietal lobe is responsible for processing pain, temperature, touch, and pressure sensation. It is located posterior to the frontal lobe. The occipital lobe is located posterior to the temporal lobe and parietal lobes. The occipital lobe is the visual processing part of the brain. The temporal lobe is located inferior to the parietal lobe on the sides of the brain. The upper part of the temporal lobe is responsible for managing hearing, while the lower part is responsible for memory processing. The cerebellum is located in the posterior part of the brain. The cerebellum's 2 main functions are muscle coordination and balance. The arbor vitae is white matter located in the cerebellum that looks like a tree-like structure. The arbor vitae brings sensory and motor information to and from the cerebellum. White matter is the inner, lighter layer under the gray matter. White matter connects gray matter areas to each other.
Gray matter is located on the top cortex. Gray matter processes information originating in the sensory organs. The brainstem connects the cerebellum with the spinal cord. It includes the medulla oblongata, pons, and midbrain. The midbrain is located anterior to the pons. The midbrain is responsible for motor control, functions, and sleep cycles. The pons is located anterior to the medulla oblongata. The pons relays signals to the forebrain to the cerebellum. The medulla oblongata connects the brain to the spinal cord. It is responsible for the regulation of heartbeat, breathing, and blood pressure. The spinal cord is posterior to the medulla oblongata and inferior to the cerebellum. The spinal cord connects the majority of the nervous system to the brain.
The thalamus is located superior to the hypothalamus and is known as the sensory gateway to the brain. The hypothalamus is located inferior to the thalamus and is responsible for regulating many of the body's automatic functions such as appetite, thirst, sleep, and mood. The lateral ventricles are located within the cerebrum. The purpose of the lateral ventricle is to provide a pathway for cerebrospinal fluid that protects the head against trauma. The pineal body is a gland posterior to the thalamus and is responsible for secreting melatonin, the hormone that anticipates the onset of nighttime in mammals. The sense of smell or odor is possible due to the olfactory bulb, located at the anterior portion of the brain inferior to the frontal lobe. The optic chiasma is located on the dorsal side of the brain, directly posterior to the optic nerve. The optic chiasma is an X-shaped structure where information from each eye crosses over to the opposite side of the cerebrum. Thank you, and enjoy your dissection.